Hey everyone, this is Will from Productions², and we're here today to continue our work on Space Crusade for the developers vlog 9. I'm just going to go in real quick and add the previous work done to the log here. So 411, and those were SCMR bet 1 through 8. Started using 1 through whatever's to do these now for multiple functions that have the same name but different values, just to cut down on the amount of space that's being used up and make updating the log faster. What else is there to add? Some work done over in game. Oh, I added I don't think I have to mention that. I added the call to it. 1, 2, 3. Alright, save it, and we will get back to. I'll get back to that after we finish working on this now. So, we've got the first menu, which is over here to determine what type of bet the player wants to place. So you pick one of these, and then you'll go to these other menus depending on that, and your choice will be returned to the game. Game's SC roulette function, and we'll continue from there. So we have 8 options to choose from. It only goes to this if P choices, and some of these P choice cannot be 0 because you can't back out of the. I'm not sure if we'll due to the fact out of the selection due to the fact that it's a string, or I just don't want to let the player do so. So I'll see if I want to change that or not later on. So case 1, then we go to mp_g dot smcmr bet 1, and then depending on what the bet is, we'll do the same thing as with this. So we have the player select their amount of Zarn, or rather chips, they want to bet. And let's see, let's go over, we'll have to add that too. So rint4, since we're using that for this now, and we'll use it for this too, so I don't have to create another variable, equals mpg dot station casino menu roulette make bet, and we'll pass through end player, or rather, why don't we pass through a value? End player dot get, well, no, because it'll be the number of chips that the player has. How am I tracking that? SC chips, okay. So that's what we'll pass through, SC chips. Let's see. Code blocks. Huh. Cannot be that powerful? Yes, of course it can be that powerful. You just have to add the code in. And I do it myself, but I'm too busy working on other stuff. I always hate it when people say, oh, that can't be done. So it's usually a load of crap, because it can be done, but the people just don't want to spend the time to actually make it so. And yes, that was another Star Trek reference. And you'll get why I say another, because I think I used it in another recording session for either Civilization 5 or Star Ruler. So that's why I said it again for him. So that was just a couple days ago. So we got this now. See, but they can do it for spelling. I don't get that. You can underline spelling errors, but not syntax errors. What a load of crap. Anyway, art for equals. That's for the chips, and we're essentially saying how many chips we want to use. So SCMR embed. Need to add that to message proc. Really, we could just make it an overall bet thing, not just for roulette, but for all the games. So instead of R, just say SCM bet. So int SCM bet. That should be RBet1 too on that over here. Which means this should be 2. Which means there's only 7, not 8, that are going to be used in this switch here. Because the first one's for the main. Alright, back over here though. Bet. Casino. Get player to choose the number of chips for, or just get player to make bet. Much simpler, I think, than having a huge paragraph of a comment. So, now we're gonna go make the actual function itself. Put it down below here. Int message processing. SMC bet. Needs to take an int parameter. I forgot to add that. Int chips. So, if, well, no, because you already have been checked. You can't even get into a game if your chips if you have no chips. So, you have some chips, and now you're deciding what the bet's going to be. So, count. Let's do another message here. 2071. You currently have blank, and that's where I'll put the chips at. And then we'll create another insert into 2072. Space again, chips. Please select a number of chips lower than your current total to place a bet. Wordy and probably useless, not needed for all this stuff here, but we're gonna do it that way anyway. Oh no! Oh, int instead of int2. What the hell? Probably sound like Mr. Bill. Oh no! Alright, so they're both in, and you can see them, so that's good. So we can use them down here. So count. Keep on doing that. So mr message 2070 space. So there's a space in it, so we don't have to put an extra space here like this. That's not needed on either side of it, really. So it's baked into the actual message itself. Normally you'd have to do that, and if they're add a space to the end of it, or if it's in between two different variables, you have to add a space or a comma space or something. So we don't have to do that. And that's nice because it's quick. Mixing is quick and easy. So chips mr message 2071 and L. Count. Put our chevron there, or whatever you want to call it. Angle bracket. And then send p choice. Count. Do a double end L here. Now, what we want to do is we want to make sure that the player hasn't added, selected to use more chips than they have, because, why would we do that? That'd totally break it. So, we want to do if p choice is less than chips, we'll actually make a whole new message for this. New shiny message. Instead of using 5. 73. You do not currently have that many chips. Defaulting to a bet of 1 chip. So when you try to be an ass and put more chips in than what you have to try and break the game, you're going to only have a bet of 1 chip. And if you end up winning that bet on a very lucrative game, turn on a game, well then, serves you right. Shame on your face. So that one's also been added. 2073. And we'll use that. That'll be for any of the games too. $2073 and p choice equals 1. All right. So return p choice. All right. So that gets that there. Now. I'll have to also make sure that it's a bet that's higher than 0 too, or a negative number. What the hell am I doing? I'm forgetting all about that stuff. We want to do an OR on this one because we want to check if it's this or this, not and. For example, if the player, let's fix that so it actually works properly here. It's less than. Yeah, so if the player decides to choose something larger than chips, then we do this. But we also want to check to see if something else is going on, so it's an OR. Because we don't want to check each one against each other, it's individually. Because if we don't do it individually and the player has something higher than chips, but that's not negative, or, well, yeah, that's an interesting question. It's not really possible, is it? To have something that's higher than chips, but then also be negative, or 0, below 0. However, it is possible to have something that's within chips and be under 0, so we still have to check for it. And again, that's the reason not to go and, because you don't actually need to check everything against it. Because a player could choose something that's less than chips, vis-a-vis 0 or negative whatever, and break the game that way. So we have to check it for this there, but it's not an and that's why. And that's my 10-minute explanation for why it's an or, not an and. That should have been done in about 2 seconds. So, P choice chips, or if P choice is less than 1. Because you can't go for 0 because you have to put in a value. You decide to make a bet, and if you don't make a bet, the casino will cut off a finger. It'll literally reprogram your mouse to turn into a little guillotine, and it'll chop your finger off. No. But it will stop you from not placing a bet. So yeah, back over here. So we have a bet, and we need to then make the bet entry in bets, or rather our bets. So we need to push back our bets. Our bets dot push back. It'd be nice to use a K instead of an L, and then bet. And nice to finish off that brackets, or rather parentheses block there. Now we need to add in everything else here. So really all we have to do is just take this and copy it. So actually that's a much quicker way that I found. Let's go to plugins and source code formatter A style. Boom. One was numbers, not zeros. Zeros was 2. Yeah. Or in this case, 3. So let's place a bet on well, I guess we also have to have, that's right, we need to put in the what the player selected to bet on, because we need that value for everything. So that's kind of stupid. Those return ints, yes, okay. So we want to go to game H, and we want to add to the roulette section int bet value, and we also want to add a string bet value for the string bets, like well, I'm gonna do, we go IB value or SB value and IB value. Hold player bet int Inuit int. I went to the store. No. Hold player bet string. Styring. Crazy typos today. So, alright, we got those in. We take this and IB value in this computer. No. IB value equals that, so we get that now. Player name needs to be the player's name. So let's place a bet of RNT4 chips on IB value. IB valuing this bet. Number, again, gonna do the same thing here, and player dot get name, and the number is IB value. So we just do essentially this and then break. So we need to break them, otherwise if you input a invalid, actually if you don't break them, then it just goes all to hell and back, because, well, for one, it will do the death roll thing for invalid options anyway, but if you don't do that, it'll go through until it hits a case that has a break in it. So they'll be placing, like 3 bets at once or something, or 8 bets at once, 7 bets at once. Case 2. Now we're just going to copy all of this stuff, because really that's all it is. It's just a copy of this, and somehow we didn't get break in there. Umbrella. Creating new names every day, or new words, I should say. So, on SB value, so I want to say 0, I believe. Yeah, 0. That's what I use for 0. And string 0. So 0 and string 0. SB value. Everything else stays the same. Case 3. I think all the rest of these are actually ints, aren't they? So yeah, so we don't need to use the string code for that. So I just go over there and just recopy the one above it. And really, we don't have to change anything now. We just copy and paste this as we go down, because all this stuff is essentially androgynous depending on what type of bet it is. It's just you have a value of chips that you bet, and then you have the thing you bet it on. So it could be a quarter, or it could be a well, see, that's not on this one. Okay, this one, these on the blocks. This, well, we could say on block number. So I could probably even take these sections down a bit. Well, no, these are like what they are in here essentially, but I won't have to do all this on the player. Let's put it that way. And I could probably also, well, no, we'd use the return on the players, the return value for the player for the block number. But yeah. We don't have to do all that stuff for the blocks. So it'll be shorter for the player, which actually is usually the case, because the player, there's actual brain power behind the player, whereas with the CPU, yes, the CPU, which technically was the old term for AI or computer player. They used to say CPU on the screen whenever you chose a computer player or computer player. Whenever you have the AI, though, everything has to be done individually, because the player, the AI, can't go to a function and say, okay, I want this, not that, and then have it returned. I mean, you could probably do it that way. As a matter of fact, you probably could, but it's not how it's set up right now, and I'll probably do that on the refactoring run when we go back through on 9. Or for version 9, so that's what we'll do the refactoring run at. It's much better to do a refactoring run when you get kind of towards completion. And for those that don't know, refactoring is just a fancy, smancy, programmer-pantsy term, and that just means that you go back through and you try to write the code in the code to do the same thing with less code. So in other words, compressing all 4 of these down into one function, and just having what I'm going to use with the player, for example. That's a term. That's an example of refactoring. But back up here, case 3, V. Actually, what we do have to change is this, don't we? I did change it there. Well, let me change it here. Everything else can stay the same, except for this. This needs to change too. So this is going to be section. How to do the sections down here? So I actually said block whatever, long or short. So what I may do is I may do a if-then thing to do this kind of thing on the players, just so things are, done the same on both. But I'll have to figure out some other way to do that. If I'm even on that yet. No, it's type, isn't it? Type should be string though, so it's returning an int, I guess. So, yeah. Or color then type. Color then type. So color and the color and SB value. So that returns an int, which we'll use this little deus machina here, and then we'll say if IB value equals 1, yeah, red, black, green. So 1, 2, 3. SB value equals red. I'll do this with the types as well. Else if IB value equals 2, SB value equals black. And else, you don't really have to do an else if, but I do it anyway, just in case something weird happens in the function and a non-123 value gets sent through. Of course, that would totally break the game because you're not doing an else, so it's not going to get caught. So you'll have player has placed a bet of blank chips on nothing and has been escorted out of the casino by security because they are insane. 3. That's a 4, not a 3. Just for those of you that didn't know that. Evidently I didn't. SB value equals green. And greens are for the zeros. On SB value, and there we go. And once again we've missed the break. How do I keep missing the break? By not selecting it, of course. Right, case 4. Quesadilla 4. Which is bet 5. And once again we need to use this, except we only have 2, because there's only 2 options for even and odd. And once again we switch to S value. This becomes type, and this becomes S value, and this becomes type. I believe it's type anyway. Yeah, type. So, case 5, right? Yeah. And what the hell? And we're not, well, technically, yeah, I guess we could do it. So if, let me switch over real quick to this. I think it's modulus 2 equals 0. That's what I'm looking for to test if it's an even number or not. But I want to make sure. So we'll pop on over to this and take a look. It's amazing how much difference there is in the actual just look of this compared to code blocks down there. Let's see. Yeah, I modulus 2 equals 0 is even, and if it's not 0, then it's odd. Good. That's what I thought. So if IB value, which will be 1 or 2, So if IB value modulus 2 equals 0, then it's even. If IB2 modulus IB value modulus 2 does not equal 0, again you could just do an else here. Actually, I think we'll just well do else. That's odd. And so what we'll do here again is more Deus Ex Machina. IB value, no, because now we have to do that, the blocks too though. So if IB value equals 2, because you can only have evens here, so you only have to check for the evens. Then we do that. And then we just do that up to 8. And we'll just add in the else as we go along here. And change these. Actually, we only need 4, don't we? Not 8. Duh. There's only 4 evens and 8s. Again, for those of you that didn't know, because obviously I didn't. New revelation. Revelation of the century. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I still had 1 too many. Okay. Now I don't. Now I gotta get rid of all the damn extra space. 2, 4, 6. That's another 2, not another 4. Apparently I didn't realize that either. And 8. So SP value, so block, we'll actually have to do another thing here. So string section size, we'll say. So long or short, in other words. So SP value equals place to bed on block 1 and let's put this down here because it doesn't matter what that is, what the value is. As long as if it's even, it's going to be short. If it's odd, it's going to be long. So S size equals short. And we'll do these. It's a little more complicated on the player side of things. The easiest way to do it would actually be return a string instead of an int and do the actual this thing here in message processing. And just return the string, you know, block whatever short. So actually no, we're not doing Deus Machina here because we're not showing what the value is. We're only showing what, so no, yeah, okay. So we could do all this in frigging message processing. I'll probably have to ship it over there once we get this finished. Put a space at the end of that so we don't have to put a space here. And all we really want to do is just take this then and copy paste it into the else. And all we have to change is the long and these values to 1, 3, 5, and 7. Ta-da! Space S size. Do another one. So chips on, let's say it's 7, so block 4 long. So section IB value. Case 6. And once again, overwriting the copy paste thing. Clipboard, I guess is what it is, really. So, 7, because it's 1 below, I believe, whatever the current one is. If that's the case, that shouldn't be 5, that should be 6. And 7, so that's an int. Chips on, and we'll change this to block, then the value. So block 4, block 2. Quarter, technically, actually, not block. That makes a good case for why these should be quarters instead of blocks. I don't know why I did that differently for. We'll change them later though. Thing to do, let's actually make a to-do so I remember to do it. So that's what to-dos are for. To-do, change block to section, or quarter. Did I call it block or quarter here? I guess we'll keep it the same, so quarter. Keep everything coordinated here, and so not have blocks and quarters and all sorts of things to have to check. And the final case. Case 7 for 8 on half. Half 1 or 2. And again, that's all there is to change. So that's really all the casing stuff we have to do for the player. That sits at the bets. Now we have to be able to process the bets. So once everything is done, and we've gone through here, and we've blasted through this for loop, which ends way down here somewhere. I think it's this. Or actually, that's right, it was a for loop before, but we changed it so it's not a for loop, maybe? No, I think it's still a for loop. Or no, it's a switch. So we want to go to, oh, it is a for loop. Never mind, it is a for loop. So we want to find the for loop here, the end of it. Wherever it ends at, and then do another for loop. For I2 equals 0, I2 is less than our bets dot size, I2 minus minus. And now we want to go through the bets and take the take the stuff off that we need to. So what we do with the bets now is, so we're looping through them, and so we have to determine if the player or not has been chosen. So if our bets dot at I2 dot, so b name, yeah, because we don't actually have to get it because it's a struct. Don't have to return the member variables. We can just access it like that, since I think everything inside of a struct is in public space anyway. Equals mPlayer.getName. So in other words, if it's a player that we're on, it's a player's bet that we're looking at, then, or first we have to process the actual thing before we do that. So, let's go back here. And is there a value already holding SR wheel bets? Int SCR wheel SCR wheel I guess we'll say value. We'll put it up here underneath this. Value that the marble stomped on. Okay, so we have to do a CR wheel value equals random 1 to 76. Or I could go 0 to 75. I think we'll leave it there. So, process the... It's not really a turn though, it's a, I don't know, what, rolling process. Table spin, I guess we'll call it. Table spin. So, you know, you spin the entire table in roulette, so that's what we're tracking. And you send chips flying everywhere, and it's just a nightmare. So, we need to compare the value here to whatever the player chose. So now this is a very tricky thing because we have to determine what. Well, actually, we know what the player's type is. Never mind, we have it here. So we still have to account for all of them. So it's going to be another long slog of things here. So if our bets, so if it is the player that we're looking at. And if player dot b type bet type equals number, then we check it on the numbers. Else, whatever type it is, we check on that type of bet. So else if 0. Else if color type section or actually quarter, not section. Oh no, section quarter, yeah. Then half. And there's really no way to get around this because you either have to do this here or you have to check for the player inside of the bets. Either way, you still have all this stuff to do. However, if you think about it though, you're only adding this one check into each of these. Well, you're still adding the same amount of code though, because with this you have 1, 2, 3 lines of code with whatever's inside it. With this, you still have the 3 lines of code with whatever's inside it. The question is, whatever is inside it, does that equal more than what you would get by doing it the other way, or less, whichever way you want to look at it. For the pessimistic kind, then you go for more. For the optimistic person, then you say less. So, it's going to take way less code to do it with the player inside of here, because then the other way around, because we can do both of them in the same one, and we don't have to repeat all the code again for, you know, all this stuff again a second time for the other ones. You just repeat the interior code for the player. So let's go ahead and fix this again. Actually, get rid of that one because I don't need it. A style. Yeah, you don't want to use B style. It's only A style I want to use. I have no clue what it says A style for. So you check the bet type, and then you check who the bettor is. If the bettor is the player, then that's good. If not, then we just do an else. Meaning if it's the AI, or one of the AI players. Let's go ahead and add that to all these. Should have probably done that first. Alright, so, now we have this, so let's do the player stuff first, so that'll be easier, then we'll be able to backwards engineer it for the AI. So we got the player, we got the bet type, we got the player. Now we want to see if the bet's actually won, and we should do that first, shouldn't we? Again, so we save, so if number, so I want to do this number equals SCR wheel here's the thing though. Here's the thing. We need to actually convert this from a string to an int. So we'll need to use the string stream. Unless I already have it in here. IO stream. Okay, I already have it. So, wait, do I already have it? Let's stream. Database and planet. No, it's IO stream, not string stream. Derp. Of course. But we do have it in database and planet, so let's go to data. Well, either one's actually here. The planet's here, so we can grab it from here. So we need S-stream, essentially. And then it's called with string stream whatever. Alright. So we need to have a string SCRWV string to hold the string value of whatever the table, whatever the marble lands in. Because technically it lands inside of a pocket, not on a number. So on a string stream is to something to a string. We need to do an int to a string. So I think we just can do. We still need that variable. And damn, there's a lot of code in this thing. And about to be more. Where's the code? There's down there at the very bottom. 3,982. 4,400. So how much is there actually total? Almost 478,000 lines of code in this thing. Jeez. Smaller than, I think it's either ship or this one that's 5 or 6,000. 7,000 actually now. Wow. Message proc has grown exponentially. Maybe not exponentially, but greatly from the last time I checked it. So we need to take the value and put it to a string. So scrwv string equals an int, which is scrw value, and then I think just string. Or no, yeah, we do use string, duh. Because we're not going to God, frigging idiot. String stream SS. Put it up here so we can reuse it. It's not an int to a string, it's a string to an int. No, other way around, isn't it? A string to an int into a string. Which is what string stream does. So actually all we have to do is just this. Alright, we'll leave that, but go SS. That is correct, right? Or is it the other way around? No, it is the other way around. The other brackets, and we're on main instead of game. And then this one here. And then SS here. So it's the bet one. So, now, so if the player wins, we essentially say count, get the player name, so bname. So bname space 1, and it'll actually put the number of chips too. So another space. It'd also be helpful if we actually had the bets part. Is it just bet? Maybe B chips or something? Chips, okay. Chips times, and then whatever type of bet it was. So we're on number here, on the numbers here. So BR number times BR number. Num, I guess. And then the exclamation point. And then we go end player. Or rather, we just update the chips. We don't have to do that. So, S chips? What did we say it was? SC chips. Plus equals our bets dot chips, not chips, times BR num again. Alright, else if it's a computer player, we just do the same thing. Except this part's different. That's why we had to do a different thing. Because now we go to, we have to do a for loop. Yeah, there's a much easier way to do this, and that is to go to game and add in a string better ID. For AI. So when we're doing this here, we also want to do a I-1 thing here. So our bets dot at our bets dot size minus 1 dot bid equals I-1. And add that to all of these. So I've completely forgotten what I was doing. I just took a small break there. Yes, so we're looking up the... No, wait, what? So if number equals here we go again. Damn it. No, that's not it. Let's see. So what happens here is that this actually isn't needed. Alright, no, yes it is, because it is done. Yeah, no. But actually this here, no. I don't know what I'm smoking, but it's something marvelous. That's actually a string anyway. What we need is the split. We need to split the G off, or R or B or whatever it is off of the value. So what we need to do is actually keep this, but we don't use this. We only use this for zeros, I guess. So actually we will use it, but only in certain circumstances. So the circumstances will be 1. So it's 1. Well, technically 0, and then it's 18 values. So so 1, 19, 20. So 1 or 0, 19, another 18. So it's gonna be just to visualize this here. So we got 0, and we got 18. Then we've got another 0, and then we've got another 18. Then we got another 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 18, and 0, 0, 0. So now the first 0 is 1. We've established that the 0, 0 is 19. Which would really be 20, so I'll put 20 down here in this little thing I have. So next would be 38, so 39. And then 59, I believe. No, 57. 39 and 18 is 9 and 8 is 1, 1 and 1 is 5, and 9 and 8 is 17. So 57. Now if we add 18 to that, no, it's not quite right either, because it should be 76. That only comes out to 75. So we are 1 off. So 20 and 18 is